Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. It's been a little while since I've uploaded to YouTube, I know, but I'm going to try and make a conscious effort now in 2024 to upload a few more videos for you. And I went to the photography show a couple of weeks ago, and if you were there, you might have bumped into me on the NiSi store, and if you did, it was great to see you, and thank you for stopping by. I was up there with NiSi for the Saturday and the Sunday. I had a couple of talks to do, and my talks were how I use NiSi filters, what filters I use, and how I use them with the work that I do now that this is my career. I wanted an ecosystem of filters that I can adapt to all sorts of different situations. And the only real ecosystem of filters that kind of answered everything that I wanted from a filter system was the NiSi Swift system. So I wanted to make a video today about the filters that I use and just show you guys if you're on the fence about buying some, or you're kind of in the sort of situation that I was in, and you do a bit of video work, you do photography work, you shoot weddings, you shoot everything. You want an ecosystem of filters that works across all sorts of situations. And it's not to say that you have to shoot all these different things to use these filters. It's just showing that these filters can be adapted to all sorts of different situations, whether you are a landscape photographer or a wedding cinematographer, or you shoot documentaries, whatever it is, these filters can be adapted to cater for your needs. And that's kind of what I wanted from a filter system. So there are two sets to the Swift system. We've got the variable ND mist kit, which we'll talk about in a minute, but we'll talk about the photography side of things first. So this is the FS ND kit from NiSi, and it comes with a 3, 6, and a 10 stop filter. And you can also additionally buy the circular polarizer, which I absolutely recommend getting because it's phenomenal. And as a landscape photographer, the polarizer in your bag is the most important filter. It's used in pretty much 99% of my landscape work. It comes in this really nice bag, and it's got this little attachment on the back that you can Velcro onto your tripod, which is really nice. And it's just a great set of filters that can be used when doing landscape photography or any sort of photography really. So let's dive in, let's have a look, let's see what they do, and I can show you guys the sort of things that I've captured over the last couple of months using this kit. So inside the kit, we have 3 filters. Well, we also have 4 filters. We also have the polarizer, but they are color coded. We have a 3 stop, a 6 stop, and a 10 stop filter. And most filters now on the market color coded so that you can see the difference. It's just a nice thing to have, really. It's just a nicety. So we have a 3 stop filter, and that is the blue one. We have a 6 stop filter, that is the green one. And we also have a 10 stop filter, and that is the gold one, and that looks absolutely awesome. So the great thing about the Swift system and how it works on your lenses, the only thing you need to buy additionally, depending on what kit you get, this is a 95mm kit. So the only thing you'll need to buy additionally for this kit is a step-up ring. So this is my Sigma 24-70 2.8. It's an 82mm thread on the front. All I needed to buy additionally was an 82 to 95mm step-up ring. If you get the 82mm kit or the 77mm kit, and I think there's a slightly smaller one as well, they actually come with the step-up rings already, so you don't actually need to buy the additional rings. And then the only thing you need to put on the front of your lens to get the Swift system to work with all sorts of different lenses is the Swift adapter ring, and they actually come with the set. So they just screw on the front, so that's a 95mm Swift adapter ring. And once that's on, that stays on. And this is how it lives in my bag all the time. So it comes with these lens caps. And as you can see, that just pushes on the front. And now all of my lenses are stored like this. So that's my 100 to 400, and that is stored with a Swift adapter ring and a Swift lens cap. And that's kind of how it lives in my bag, really. That's my 20mm 1.8. And here's my 24-70 2.8. So when I want to go out and do landscape photography or any type of photography, I can just grab this or grab this lens or whatever I need, and off we go basically. And then camera goes up on the tripod, lens cap comes off, and it's ready to rock and roll. All I've got to do is put my filters on the front. Now the Swift system has a really, really unique design that I kind of fell in love with, really. It's a really good, unique design that's worked, and filters have never fallen off, touch wood. And it just works across all sorts of different applications. So say for example, we're out shooting a sunrise and we want to have some sort of ND on there to slow down some waves or some clouds or some movement of some kind. I can pull out one of these filters in the bag. So say for example, I want to use the 6 stop ND. The green one comes out, everything's set up and ready to go. We're up on the tripod, it pushes on the front. And I've never had one fall off. It just seems to be a really, really good, unique way of attaching filters to a camera lens. And that's the 6 stop on there now. And it just looks great. The colors are good. They just work really, really well. They're true color, so there's no color cast. and they're just good. They just work, and that's kind of what I wanted from a filter system. So say for example now we're shooting some water. We've got a nice amount of ND on there now. Everything's starting to look really, really nice, but there's a bit of glare on the water. The sun's off at 90 degrees. This is the perfect opportunity to have a polarizer to try and cut through the glare on the water, that big white spot. We don't really want that. We want to balance the scene, just hypothetically, humour me. We want to add a polarizer to cut through that glare. So the great thing about this whole ecosystem of filters is they are all adaptable and everything can just work with one another. So this is the polarizer, the CPL, the circular polarizer, and it comes with this little toggle on the side, and you can just turn it and turn the amount of polarization that you need. And it's the same, all the filters are the same. They're this like push on, like locking, sucking sort of like mechanism. And I just push on the front like that, and now all of a sudden I've got a polarizer on the front of my 6-stop ND. And I can have full range of polarization all the way through. You don't get any of those weird X's that you get from like cheap NDs or cheap polarizers. So there's none of that. So you can have full or absolutely no polarization, and there's no weird artifacts and weird bits and bobs going on from that you get from like cheap polarizers. And they can just pull off and put back on as easy as that, and they just don't come off. They're just great. They just work. And they're just, I'm gonna say again, they just work really, really well. So say for example now it's getting brighter and the 6-stop's not strong enough, that can go straight back in the bag. We can pull out the 10-stop, and that just literally pushes straight on the front, just like so. And we're ready to rock and roll with 10 stops and to get super long exposures. Again, polarizer, straight back on the front. So you can see the benefits of the FSND kit and how great it is, and this whole ecosystem of filters is just about to get another set added to it, and they all work together, which is just epic, and I'll show you right now. So this is the Variable ND Swift Mist Kit. Have I said that right? Variable ND Mist Kit, Swift Variable ND Mist Kit, that's it. Swift Variable ND Mist Kit. And depending on what kit you get, it depends on what filters you get. Don't ask me now because I can't remember. But in this kit, primarily is a variable ND and a mist filter, and also a 4-stop ND. And we'll talk about how and why we need a variable ND in video. I'll briefly touch on that. We'll leave that to another video, but I'll briefly touch on why you need a variable ND. So in this kit, it comes with a really nice hard case. It opens up really, really nice. And in this kit, I've added a couple more mist filters too. But primarily this kit is about video. It's a video kit really. You can use it for photography, like I said, but it's primarily a video kit. The main filter in the variable ND mist kit is the variable ND, believe it or not. So in video, depending on what you're shooting, the only way you can control the amount of light that's coming in and hitting your sensor is a variable ND. Say for example, I'm shooting a wedding video and I'm shooting in slow-mo. Say I'm shooting in 60p. My shutter speed is fixed to 1/120. It's called the 180 rule. So I can't go and change my shutter speed like you can in photography to say darken down the image. It's fixed in order to get that motion blur so that I can slow-mo the footage later. Say for example, I'm shooting on this lens here. This is my 35 1.4 G Master. And say for example, I'm shooting at 1.4 because I want the bride and groom to be perfectly tack sharp, and I want to have that drop off and that beautiful bokeh that this lens has. So my shutter speed is fixed. My aperture is fixed at 1.4. Say for example, I'm shooting on my Sony FX3 like we're shooting on now, and I'm shooting in S-Log3. My ISO is either fixed at 800 or 12,800. That is a dual gain ISO camera, so it has 800 or 12,800, and it's super clean at both ISOs. There's no noise. So I can't change the shutter speed. I can't change my aperture, really. I could do, but I'm not going to because I want that blurry background. And I can't change my ISO because we're fixed at 800, or say for example, we're inside and I'm fixed at 12,800. So the only way really to change the amount of light that's coming in without changing my aperture is using a variable ND filter. And that just screws on the front, and you can add other filters. This is the great thing about this whole Swift ecosystem. You can add other filters to the front, just like you could with the other filters. And a variable ND controls the amount of light that is coming in. So we have 1 all the way through to 5 stops. And this tends to be enough in video. In most sorts of situations, you don't really need any more than 5 stops of ND. You could stop up your aperture a little bit to say f2, f2.8, but if you want to have that, say 1.4, 1.8 look, you would add a 4-stop ND and turn this into a 5 to 9. But we'll talk about it in a second. So this is the variable ND that comes in the Swift variable ND mist kit. And it's absolutely fantastic. I use it on every single video job I do. It's just absolute paramount to have. If you're a videographer or you shoot any sort of video, having a variable ND is it's like a polarizer in landscape photography. It's just the filter you need. You have to have one. Cheap variable NDs can be nasty, and you get that weird sort of like X. You get like, I can't really describe what it looks like, but if you've ever used a cheap variable ND, you get that weird sort of like X where the two NDs are like oscillating right next to one another, and they could kind of do this, and you get this like weird X go across your camera lens and across your screen. It just looks horrendous. So that you get none of that with these variable NDs. You can go from 1 stop all the way through to 5 stops, and there's no weird artifacts or nothing. It's just true color. There's no color cast. It's just perfect, and it just works, and that's all I wanted from a filter system. When you're shooting video, this is on my lens all the time. So the only thing you have to do is take off the Swift adapter ring that you would use for those other filters. And say, for example, we're shooting on my A7 IV here with the 24 to 70 f2.8 from Sigma. I've got my step-up adapter ring on there, and the only thing I need to do is screw the ND on the front, just like so. And now I have 1 to 5 with this little toggle, just like the polarizer. I have a 1 to 5 ND on the front. So I can control that light that's coming in so that I'm not over or underexposing my image. So say, for example, now that we are shooting on this lens, say we're on the 35 1.4 and we were shooting inside, and now I'm going outside. And it's a bright sunny day, and 5 stops of ND is not strong enough so that I can keep my aperture at 1.4. I need to keep my aperture at 1.4 or 1.8 because I want that depth of field. I want my bride and groom in focus. I want that depth of field to make them pop and stand out. So the only other way that I can control that light now is by adding another ND, because 5 stops is not enough. So again, depending on what kit you get the 4-stop ND. Where is it? There it is. Which, just like all the other filters, just pushes on the front. So we've got the variable ND on here now, and now I can put the 4-stop on the front, just like that. And now all of a sudden I have a 5 to 9-stop ND. And now when you're shooting outside, you don't need any more than kind of like 6, 7, 8 stops at absolute most. I don't think I've ever used it at full ND. But you've got the flexibility now to quickly go, okay, I'm inside, okay, we're going outside, let's quickly chuck that one on. Okay, now I've got 5 to 9 stops of ND. And now all of a sudden you can cater for those inside situations and outside situations just like that, just by quickly pushing on a filter just like that. And it just works really, really well. So what I tend to do is I keep this in my pocket or just on the side somewhere, or clipped on like a little toggle or something. Say, for example, I'm wearing a harness at a wedding. I usually wear the harness, and I'll just clip this on so I can quickly access these filters if I need to access them. Now, I don't tend to use that 4-stop ND. Usually the 1 to 5 is enough. But I'm going to quickly talk about the mist side of it. So this is a variable ND mist kit. So for those of you that don't know what a mist filter is or does, it kind of just like emphasizes, we've got one on now actually, there's a 1/2-stop mist filter on here, and it just makes, in video, you kind of want things to look soft and cinematic. We like things to look ethereal. We want obviously our subject in focus, me and my face in this instance, but we want the rest of it to kind of just drop off into, it's kind of like an Orton effect. That's kind of the best way to look at it. Or if you're a photographer and you're listening to this, it's kind of like dropping the clarity in Lightroom, and it's just adding that kind of like ethereal, hazy softness, but actually doing it in camera with a filter. The mist kit comes with, depending on what system you get, comes with a mist kit. I have a 1/8 and I also have a 1/4, so a 1/4 strength. And the 1/4 tends to be the one I use the most. It tends to have more of a look. The 1/8 is a very, very subtle look. You can't really see what it does, but if you were to hold up to like a light source, say like a light bulb or something like that, it just blooms. It's kind of like a star glow filter in a way. It just blooms the highlight and makes it look really, really soft, ethereal. The quarter strength one tends to be a little bit stronger and it's more of a look. And I use this one all the time. Say for example, I'm shooting that wedding. I would 100% have a mist filter on there. Weddings tend to be white and bright and soft and ethereal and cinematic, and I want to try and make that as cinematic as possible. By using a mist filter, I can do that. So I'm shooting my wedding. I've got my 1 to 5 variable ND on there. We're on a gimbal, and I want to add a little bit of softness and etherealness to the image. I can put the mist filter, just like I could with the FSND kit NDs. It all works the same, and it just pushes on the front, just like that. And I can still use my variable ND with the mist filter on the front now. And you can see now why I've chosen to use this ecosystem of filters. It just works across all sorts of different applications of my work. Okay, so as a quick example, I'm in the office now. I've got my gear shelf behind me. I've got a light source here, and I've also just put my phone here as like a direct light source. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hold the actual filter up to the lens, so I'll come behind the camera, and you can see the difference a mist filter has when you put it in front of the lens. So at the moment there's nothing on. This is just no filters whatsoever. It's just the 35 1.4 on my Sony FX3. And I have the mist kit here, the Swift mist kit, and we're going to try the 1/8, so this is the weakest filter. I'm going to pop that one in front of the lens, and let's see what it looks like. So this is without anything. This is just a bit of gear on my shelf, and I'm just going to hold it in front of the lens now. So I'm just going to drop it down. So this is the 1/8. Look at the phone. See the phone on the left? I'm going to put it in front and take it away. Such a big difference. It just softens down the scene and adds that cinematic glow. So I'm now going to swap this one out. So this is the 1/8 for the quarter strength, and it tends to be a lot stronger. So now going in front of the lens is the quarter strength, and you can see the blooming on the phone light is even more obvious. And that's what I was saying, it tends to be more of a look, and it just looks so good. I absolutely love it. It just softens down everything, makes everything look really cinematic, and it's just a dream. It really is nice. So one of the benefits of being an ambassador for NiSi UK is I get to be able to give you guys a discount code if you want to. I will drop it down in the description below. And also my discount code is Kapoor discount, and that will get you 10% off over £250, I believe. So if you were looking at getting the Swift system, you can save yourself some money, but there's all sorts of different systems and items on the website that you can get, whether you're buying into graduated filters or anything. You can use it across the whole website. So we're going to wrap this one up here. I hope you guys have enjoyed looking into my filter system and how I use these filters across all different aspects of my work. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do consider clicking subscribe below. I'm going to make a conscious effort to try and get some more YouTube videos out this year. Do click like down below. It's the best thing you can do for the channel. Leave us a comment. I'd like to know what filters you use, how you use them, and if you have any questions about photography, landscape photography, any sort of aspect of videography or anything, filters, whatever, just drop them down below or reach out to me on my socials, and I'll be more than happy to help you guys out. Amazing. That's it. I'll see you guys in the next one.